So now, in the teaching, it explains about the uh, engaging bodhicitta, which is the second subdivision, known as the engaging enlightenment mind, which is the training on the path for the sake of the result. Actually, in the commentary text itself, it says entering enlightenment thought, which is the training on the path for the sake of the result. So, this engaging bodhicitta means in order to accomplish the ultimate result, we need to practice. And that practice itself is called the engaging bodhicitta. For example, just by wishing to go to a particular destination, one will not reach there. Just by wishing, one will not reach there. After having the wish, then one need to put effort to go there. We need to put effort, we need to prepare, and we need to engage in the journey. We need to engage in the action that will take oneself to that particular destination. Without putting any effort, without engaging in any action to reach there, one will not reach there. So similarly, just by having the wish to gain Buddhahood, one will not attain Buddhahood. So therefore, in order to attain Buddhahood, one really need to engage in the action. Actually, one cannot gain Buddhahood without any cause, and one cannot gain Buddhahood by engaging in the wrong cause or in the wrong path, or one cannot attain Buddhahood by engaging in just the incomplete path. Or so therefore, one really need to engage in the complete path, which will enable us to attain the Buddhahood for the sake of all the sentient beings. So that kind of path, that engage in such path or engage in such practice is called the engaging bodhicitta. So normally whatever sadhana that we do or whatever pujas that we performed, normally in the beginning of that part, that sadhana or puja, there's this bodhicitta recitations. So therefore, while we are reciting the prayer, we also need to implement such prayer, or we need to take the action as we recite the prayer, or we need to act according to what we have recited. If one is reciting this prayer, but if one is doing something else or something that is against this meaning or the meaning of the prayer, then it is not right. Then one will not going to accomplish the result. And best way or the most profound method to accomplish or to attain Buddhahood is to remove the thought that think of oneself alone, and need to put effort to engage in the action that help others or benefit others, or that can serve action that can serve others. So therefore, when we are doing Dharma practice and when we are in the post sessions, we should try our best to control our action from doing the negative actions. And whatever we do, whatever one do, ideally speaking, should be the cause to attain Buddhahood for the sake of all the sentient beings. So we must, or one must develop such thought in the beginning. And also one must act according to that thought. So generally speaking, every day in the morning, the first thing that one need to do is to develop the right motivation, which means to develop thought of renunciation, loving kindness, and compassion to all, and then reaching bodhicitta. And engaging bodhicitta, one can think that in order to attain Buddhahood, one is engaging in Dharma practice, and also may one's today's action be the cause of attaining Buddhahood. May all of one's today's action be the cause of attaining Buddhahood. So things like that. So this is something that we need to do first thing in the morning. And after that kind of motivation, after developing such motivation, then one can start the day. So one can reflect on the motivation for short time or a few minutes or several minutes according to one's own time. So that can really help us to remind us and also to control, that can really help us to control our mind from the negative thoughts if you do in the proper way, and if you do it with the mindfulness and alertness. Not only it is important to develop such thing in the morning or such motivation in the morning, but then during the daytime also we must have this mindfulness and alertness so that it will remind oneself. Actually, the really capable person is the Dharma practitioners who practice Dharma with the Bodhicitta. They are the real capable person because they are the ones that can accomplish the happiness for others and oneself. They are the ones that can accomplish the happiness for all. And not only in this life, but that can accomplish happiness for all the people forever, not only for few years or several years or decades, etc., but forever. In this world, those who are good at doing mundane action are considered as a capable person, but in reality, such persons are not real capable person, because generally speaking, mundane actions are mixed with the negative thoughts and actions. So someone who is causing more and more sufferings in this life and also in the future lifetimes, someone who is creating more and more suffering for oneself and others, are not called the capable person. So what mundane people are saying is not a genuine capable person. The main or the genuine capable person is the one who can accomplish both the happiness for others and self forever. So that one can do only through the practice of Dharma, only through the practice of Bodhicitta, etc. The difference between the mundane capable and capable from the Dharma point of view is that mundane capable persons are based on apprehending inherent identity of a person. And the capable from the Dharma point of view is based on bodhicitta, based on altruistic thought or bodhicitta. So that is the main difference that can cause suffering or happiness. Actually, like self-cherishing thought, we think this is good. Mundane people think self-cherishing thought is good because through this one can accomplish mundane results for oneself. But in reality, the self-cherishing thought itself is one's own enemy, because self-cherishing thought is the cause of negative action, or no, the cause of mental afflictions and negative actions that cause this suffering. But out of ignorance, one does not know the main enemy is within ourselves and try to see others as enemy. But actually, in reality, that person or oneself has failed to recognize the real enemy. So when one fails to recognize the real enemy, then one will not put effort to defeat that enemy. First, one need to recognize, then one can put effort, or one can have the method or skillful means to defeat the enemy. So at the moment, most of the beings, they even don't know the real enemy. They even don't recognize the real enemy. So therefore, they even don't put effort to defeat such enemy. So therefore, as a Dharma practitioner, one need to see the self-cherishing thought as the enemy, and then try to adopt a method that can transform all our actions from negative to positive, or one should adopt the method that can make our actions as a positive actions. So engaging bodhicitta is actual action, it's actual Dharma practice. So Dharma practice in general not only refers to the physical prostration and circumambulation to a Buddha or temple or stupa, and also verbal recitations of the prayers or mantras or sadhanas or rituals, and mentally just having faith and devotion in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, etc. But it also means to have compassion or loving kindness and compassion to all. So even when one is in the house, if one does not argue or quarrel or beat each other in the family, within the family members, if one controls the negative mind, negative thought, negative action towards one's own family members, if one can develop loving kindness and compassion to one's own family members with the right motivation, then living in harmony with family members itself is also a part of Dharma practice. And also, when we go out, when one go out, and when one is at work or with other friends or with other people, at that time also, if one can control one's own negative thoughts, and if one can serve or help others as much as one can through right motivation, then itself is the uh, Dharma practice. And sometimes one can say one has sickness, so because of this, one faces great obstacle to practice Dharma. So for some, sickness can be an obstacle to practice Dharma. But those who really know how to practice, then having sickness itself is not an obstacle. It's a favorable condition to practice Dharma. Those who know how to practice, those who are real practitioner, they can use this sickness, their own sickness, as a favorable condition to practice Dharma. For example, when one has sickness, then one practice the self-exchange Bodhicitta. So through this way, one's own sickness becomes favorable condition to practice Dharma, not the obstacle to practice Dharma. So it all depends on individuals, how one can handle the situation, how one can transform such situation into favorable condition or not. And even evil spirits and others try to create obstacles for a practitioner. If one is a good practitioner or great practitioner, even they try to harm, that harm will not be received by this great practitioner. For example, when Shakyamuni is meditating under the tree, at that time, many evil spirits try to create obstacles for Shakyamuni Buddha or for Shakyamuni, and they manifest many beautiful girls to distract his mind from the meditation, and also they shower weapons. But Shakyamuni defeated all these obstacles, all these enemies and all these obstacles, not through anger, but through the power of loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta. Through his power, through the power of his own practice, he transformed all these shower of weapons into a shower of flowers. And even these beautiful girls cannot remain as beautiful through his power of practice. So he defeated all these enemies through the practice of loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta. So, as it is said in the Bodhisattva Chayavatara, Tadang Sengye Langjente, Dultang Dana Tamjatang, Semjen Yalo Somatang, Chama Tishin Simbanam, Semde Chikpo Tabayi Tada Tamja Tabayo, Semde Chikpo Tulana Tada Tamja Tulorgyo. So it means if the practitioner has already tamed the mind or subdued the mind, then even that practitioner face fearful animals like tiger, lions, elephants, etc. Still, they will not harm. they will not harm this practitioner who has already tamed the mind. So taming one's own mind is same as taming all the other obstacles or all other who can harm. And also in the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, it says, it is not possible to defeat all the external enemies, but just by defeating one's own enemy, one's own negative thoughts, then it is like defeating all the other enemies. In the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, it gives the example of the ladder. I think many of you have heard this example. It is not possible to cover the whole universe or whole earth by leather, but just covering the sole of the shoes by leather, then it is like covering the whole universe by the leather, because then wherever you step, you are stepping on the leather. So it's like covering the whole earth by leather. If you can cover the sole of the shoes, sole of the feet by leather. So main thing is to defeat our own enemy, the inner enemy, the real enemy. And the real enemy can be defeated through the practice of bodhicitta, mainly through the practice of bodhicitta. So therefore, the practice of bodhicitta is very important. It is the essence of Mahayana teaching. It is the fundamental teaching of Mahayana. Without this bodhicitta, there is no practice of Mahayana teaching. So every Mahayana practice should be sealed by the bodhicitta. So ideally speaking, every Mahayana practice should be sealed by the bodhicitta. So now the next sub-subject is, anyway, the next one is the training part, or Labjan, training part, which also has three. The first one is to meditate on equality between self and others. Second, to meditate on exchange self for others. And third, to train in the contact of these two. So first, is to meditate on equality between self and others. So ordinary human beings, although recite the enlightenment mind prayer or bodhicitta prayer, but they just recite these prayers, but they are not taking the action. So in a practical way, they are not really applying these words into action. Not only they don't apply these teaching into action to all the sentient beings, but even those who is around oneself, one is not having good time with those who are around you. It is sometimes for ordinary beings, it is difficult for them to be in harmony with those people who are around you. So if one cannot stay in harmony with those who are around you, then how can one stay in harmony with all the sentient beings? Or how can one help or benefit all the sentient beings? So therefore, we need to train our mind, and eventually one can become a great practitioner. So to train, first one is the equality. Train on equality between self and others. In the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, it says, first we need to practice this uh, equality between self and others, and then we can practice the exchanging self for others. This one is easier to practice. Actually, we all have the same wish, same goal. So, therefore, we must protect all the sentient beings just like we protect ourselves. Or one need to protect all the sentient beings just like one protect oneself. So since one has the common goal to achieve, one should not just ignore others' welfare and just emphasize on one's own purpose or one's own sake. One should not just emphasize on accomplishing one's own sake. At the moment, there's a big difference between oneself and others. Ordinary beings, they cherish oneself and they can't cherish others as oneself. Even they can't cherish one's own friends as oneself. So they or we look after ourselves as the number one. So we or one always give the priority to oneself more than any other being, including one's own friends, family members, etc. At the moment, if one's friend is having sickness, then although one can worry, but one will not have the same level of worry as oneself has this same kind of sickness. If the friend or close family members have serious sickness or like terminal terminal ill terminally terminally terminal illness, then the person who has such terminal illness will have intolerable anxiety or worries, but oneself will not have the same level of worries. If oneself has the same illness, then one will have more or one will have intolerable pain or worries. So one sees differently between one's own family members or close friends and oneself. Although one have the affection or one has the love towards one's own close ones, but still there's a difference between oneself and others such as close friends and family members. So that part is something that is the main obstacle for one's own practice. So therefore one need to train the mind first through the practice of this equality between self and others, so that one can see equally between oneself and others all the time. Not only others means not only the close friends and family members, but all the beings without any exception. So to happen this, one need to put effort. Actually, the positive qualities are something that will not rise in one's own mind naturally. We need to make these positive mind. We need to put effort to make this positive mind to develop within our mind stream. Actually, from the beginningless time, one has been under the control of mental afflictions and negative karmas. So that kind of habit is so strong. So therefore, without putting effort, it is not possible to change this kind of habit. At the moment, one's own virtues deeds are very weak, not strong, and also most of the time one is not doing virtues, one is doing non-virtues. As it is said in the Bodhisattva Chayatara, actually in the Tibetan it says, Chidar Tema Mina Tinrumna, Loki Kijiram Na Tambatar, Teaching Sanke to Galamna, Jidan Sonam Lodo Tangajung, which means in the night time, if the moon is completely covered by the dark clouds, so then the place becomes very dark. It's like pitch black. And then suddenly, if there's a lightning, then at that time, at that short period of time or a few moments, at that time, the place will be illuminated by this light of the lightning. So similarly, just like at that time, the black time is much longer than the time of having this illumination. So just like this, one do more and more negative actions. Just like there's much longer time of darkness at that time. So similarly, most of the time one is doing the negative actions, and the time of lighting is very short. Similarly, the time of doing virtuous deeds is very short. So through this example, it shows how rare it is for us to practice Dharma or to do genuine virtuous deeds. So therefore, we must put effort. We must put effort to change this bad habit. It's not easy to change. So therefore, we must put every effort or all the effort to change such habit. So the main way to practice this is that just like oneself wish to gain happiness, similarly all the sentient beings also has the same wish to gain happiness. And just like oneself wish to remove suffering, similarly all the sentient beings also has the same wish to remove suffering. So therefore, from this time onwards, one should perform actions that can accomplish happiness and cause for happiness for others, and that can remove the suffering and cause of suffering for others. So one should have such strong wish from depth of one's own heart. And if that happens, then one feel great joy. So through such thought and action, then one should try to help others as much as one can. And gradually, one can accomplish the great purpose, or one can help others in a very great way. Actually, Nagarjuna said, which means at the moment, although one don't have the power to help all the sentient beings, but one should have this wish to help all the sentient beings. When there's this thought, then the action will come later. The action will follow the thought. So first it is important to have this thought, then later the action will follow this thought. So it means later the action is also become a very great action to help and to serve others. Or one can do great bodhisattva's actions. So up to here is the study part of the today's teaching. So today's teaching is on aspiring bodhicitta, engaging bodhicitta, and to meditate on equality between self and others. So these three are the today's topic. And now the practice part, as same as earlier ones. First as a preparation part, one needs to do the refuge and supplication prayers, and also one can add the bodhicitta prayers, and then one need to do the main part of the action. Today's main part of the action is today's special main part of the action is to meditate or to practice on these three: aspiring bodhicitta, engaging bodhicitta, and the equality between self and others. And then at the end, need to do the conclusion part, which is to do the proper dedication. So with this, we end today's teaching, and at the end, we should do the proper dedication.